Hello, Internet. I'm Jackie Fox. My original recording of this had me thinking that my mic was busted. Now I'm thinking that maybe one of my USB ports is busted. But I think I'm back in business. Depends on how this recording goes. But for today's episode, we're going to be talking about who I'm saving for by account. One of the things that I think makes me special as a wotv YouTuber is that I try to have the most complete picture of what's going on, in part by playing all of the elements. And I was just thinking about this, like, I know so many people who play one account who have a favorite element because they've kind of had to, right? You fanboy for whoever you've built because you have seen it at its best potential. That's what you're excited for often. But for me, I don't even think I have a favorite element. Like, I mean, it was light at one point, and I still think that's maybe one of the most friendly elements. But I really like what I'm doing in Earth right now. I really like ice ranged in a lot of ways. I am really excited. I'm perennially excited for water. My strike team is really fun. Light and dark. My light and dark team is pretty cool. It's a job-based team, but there's some light and dark love on it too, thanks to Dark Bahamut. I'm excited for a lot of things. So I just want to make a couple notes in that, you know, this isn't a should you pull video. I don't think that those make a lot of sense as a concept. I think the way people do them is better than that idea as words. I think really what I prefer to do is who should pull videos. In that every unit that comes out is going to be a worthy pull for someone. They don't release bad units. I mean, arguably some are better than others, and some have almost no place, but like, I think everybody like gets stuck in their own game and doesn't think about how different the experiences of other players can be from them. This is a game with, unless you are spending lots and lots of money on it on a very regular basis, there's a lot of variety in what you might have and not have. So I think really you have to learn like what you should pull, right? And on that note, no apologies for any of the units I either talk up or talk down in this video, because I am speaking almost entirely within the context of my accounts. There's certain things on here that I think are strong that I'm just going to avoid for whatever reason, and I'm probably not even going to mention them. So if that's your thing and I skipped it for your element, I'm sorry, but it's not what I'm building. I'm no judgment call here. What you're building might be better than what I'm building, but it's not what I'm going for, so it's irrelevant to this video. And maybe by learning how I make some of these decisions, you'll get some ideas for what you can do within your own element. So first, for the guest account, that's going to be Dark and Fire. This is kind of an account that I've been using to fill the gaps. And it plays mostly Fire at this point, although that wasn't what like either of us came into it wanting to play. We wanted to play Dark, so now it's kind of a Dark Fire account. There's also some Wind, and I think having Edward built up for this account is really cool, especially since we have Hio. We can run a really good anti-ice team behind him. With Fire units, it works, right? So who am I saving for this account? Well, this account and its owner were really excited about Sephiroth, one of their better units they've built up, although we do have some good units on there other than him. So naturally, what we're saving for this account, it's going to be Rafu. So this is going to be a banner that I'm going to talk a lot more about, and probably for a reason maybe that you aren't thinking about, it's a way that I think about Warrior of Crystals that I'm not sure that everyone does, but in that these are kind of stacking limited banners, unless you really want an interim Warrior of the Crystal, like Perrine was a really good pull, it's probably best to wait until one of the later ones so that you can get opportunities to pull some of those other units on the way to pitying someone like Rafu. Because I could see this account working really well with Perrine, I mean, what account doesn't? She's such a great unit. But, you know, this account has Alphonse, this account has Edward. We can 140 both of them. So Perrine would be a great addition to that team. I mean, it's the strike combo that I showed you at the beginning of this video. I'm excited about it. This account, though, unfortunately, would not necessarily have the strike cards to make that work, but it still would be a pretty cool team. And then, just because he's a free unit, if, say, we get to Rafu quickly, maybe we don't get either of the other two units, I'm not going to go for a 2-for-1. I'm not going to keep pulling if I get Rafu early. And in that case, I will have Viz left over for Bartz. Bartz is a free unit. He's quite strong. And this is a newer account, so I'm going to go for it if I can afford it. So for War Leader, this is my Light, Lightning, and Dark account. Bartz is much more of a priority. I am going to be making pulls before Bartz, but I am also going to be saving for Bartz. Like, decidedly. Not if I have some extra Viz left over, but I will have extra Viz for him ready, kind of building him. Because I think he's a really powerful unit for Light, and a really good partner for a lot of the Light units that I could have now, that I do have now, and that I could have into the future. I mean, you know what? That's not the last time we're going to talk about Bartz either. We'll throw him at the end. But the banner that I'm actually going to pull on for this account is, surprisingly, still Rafu. I really like the Rafu banner in that, you know, it's kind of one of those shoot for the stars, and if you don't succeed, you're floating in outer space, which is horrible. Wait, that analogy went poorly. Rafu is excellent because you can, even if you have to go all the way for pity, you're probably going to pick up one of the other Warriors of the Crystals along the way. They are all hard to pull, but once you get multiple of them on a banner, like I'm pretty sure I got Joom pulling for Astrius, or I got Astrius and then went for a 2-for-1 and got Joom as well. I don't remember exactly how that worked out, but I definitely have gotten a 2-for-1 off of these banners before, and I'm hoping with multiple accounts going for it again, I can get another 2-for-1, because, specifically for this account, I'm really looking at Vega. So I told you this was a Light, Lightning, and Dark account, and this would update my units for each of those elements in a pretty cost-efficient way. I pull on one banner, I get a great partner for Sephiroth and a great tank on really any team. I think especially this account, which has a lot of vision cards and has a lot of ability to build new vision cards because it can just generate medals like crazy. I think I have a lot of room to be able to play around with some of the newer synergies and being able to run enough cards that I can maybe work a cleric into teams. I think I'm going to have a lot more uses for Rafu than I'm maybe imagining, but for Vega, while I'm not necessarily as excited about him, I do want to pull him, and I definitely have characters to play with him. I mean, like, we're looking at, you know, Charlotte might actually get pretty cool with her 140. I don't know if she's gotten that yet, though. Maybe I'm wrong. Esther, I think, is going to be really powerful with her 140. I'm still seeing her on Lightning teams. I think she's going to stick around longer into the Alphonse meta, but I do think that as a tank, and really that, look, Esther isn't a tank. Esther is a pseudo-tank. She is a pseudo-tank that is stronger than Charlotte, arguably, in a lot of ways, mainly because she could also DPS like a motherfucker. Even though she is a bit of a single target unit, which also is not a bad matchup into the future as AoE resistance increases. So I think she's going to give Alphonse a lot more competition than maybe he had on JP, and that also means that there is potential for an all/synergy team that is a little bit more future-proof than what JP experienced. I think Vega is going to be the powerhouse on that. That being said, it might still be better to run him with Alphonse, but we'll see. We'll see. That is something I would love to pull and love to play around with, and that is a question I would love to find out the answer to. So for Chocobilly, I'm doing Water, Wind, and Strike. No Strike units coming up, so you know I gotta pull Ferris. Like, oh man, do I even have to tell you why? She's like probably the best unit in the game right now. Probably. You know, there's some serious competition. But for Water, which also has some really serious competition for her, she is just really good. And I just can't really make an argument for not saving for her, not pulling for her, especially when you consider that I can also get Lena on her banner. I'm not going to pull for Lena specifically. I'm not going to go for a 2-for-1 with these two units, but mainly because I have Sodley. I think if you don't have Sodley and you're playing Wind, you absolutely want Lena, even to the point where if you're also running Water, you may even prioritize her over Ferris. But really, this is the bonus for me. This is kind of extra credit, because what I really want is Ferris. And another point that I want to make, which is not a point that you'll necessarily hear very often, but goddamn, if I have a type, this is my type. Like, if anybody ever wondered like what type of waifu I would get really excited about, cross-dressing pirate waifu, you don't even know. You cannot understand. I feel like that's a translation thing, but like, you know, we've already said she's actually a woman. Like, okay, that was kind of implied already, but cool. Ah, she kidnaps Lena too. She's a little bit of a bad boy. But like, again, here's my main argument personally for why I want Ferris. Just look at that art. Just look at that art. And here's the other thing about Ferris. I mean, she would look really good with parts, right? That's not even the point. I mean, I generally enjoy the art in this game. I generally think it's pretty good, especially on vision cards. But there are two collaborations that have really just had the coolest vibes. And that's Final Fantasy V and 6. Like, okay, first of all, Locke looks like he's about to break out and play some basketball in those high tops. For real. But like, this whole outfit, and also everybody has a tattered cape, or at very least has a tassel. I think Terra was a little bit cleaner in look, and she had a tassel. But like, tell me, for one, that these two ladies wouldn't just aesthetically look amazing together. Just like, editor Jackie put them in a picture together to cover this up. Like, just fuck. Show me the whole team. Show me both teams. Throw in the extra units. Just the whole collab. Good. This is why I want Ferris. Really. I am being a little bit silly about this, but not entirely. They do look really cool. I do love their art. And yeah, Ferris is my type, for sure. Just all around. The other unit that I might actually go for on this account is Bartz. And I mean, Bartz looks... Goddamn. Shut the fuck up, Woodpecker. Bartz looks pretty good with Locke himself. But also because, you know, I have a little bit of footing in light. It was really easy to get started with light when I started this account. So I did. This was really like a light water account for the longest time. I was already running a light account, so I never leaned into that and really looked for an opportunity to get into a different element, which ended up being wind. But, you know, at one point there was some ambition to build light units, so I have light units built up that I could play with Bartz. But it's really a question of like how hard I end up going on Ferris. because I really, really, really want Ferris. And Bart's would be cool. So finally, for Fox Talks wotv, the looking at my notes here, the only unit that I put an exclamation point next to out of anyone is Galzak. Now, if you want to know why, he's totally free. He's farmable, but look at this. This is basically Velus's snow healing. And the upgrade makes it instant cast, something that snow healing never gets. Now, snowy healing does have a vitalize effect on its AoE, and even in its upgraded form. Once you reincarnate that bad boy, and you absolutely should if you have him. But even on its basic form, it does 15 AP for allies at max, which is, you know, an improvement over this. But that is such a powerful and like iconic signature skill for Velus. Like that is a big part of what makes him an amazing support. To even come close to that, and in some ways even surpass it, because the instant cast is huge on this, I think that makes you a really cool unit. And look, Earth is an element that does not have a strong dedicated support. It just doesn't. If you can think of one, let me know in the comments, but like, if there is one, I'm not running them. So Galzak would be fun. I'm not saying I'm going to use him on all of my teams, or I'm going to use him a lot, but it feels like he's something that's missing for the element, and I was just really excited to see a free unit that I had a reason to be this excited about. So no matter what, I'm 140ing this guy. You know what I mean? Like, how many times I reincarnate him, I don't know. But I'm definitely 140ing this guy. And it's going to be easy, so I'm definitely going to do it. But, the other thing is, I don't really know who I want to pull for on this account, necessarily. I mean, as you can see, I've got a lot of options between Ice and Earth that are coming out. And they're all pretty much worth considering, except for Elegant Fuckboy Howlett. I'm not saying he's bad, but like, I'm not an Ice / player. Daddy Reagan is cool. I've wanted him for flavor reasons for a long time. I'm not even like all that concerned with what he does. I think he's arguably a better unit than Ice Howlett, just like looking at him on paper. And even if I wouldn't make that argument, I have way more nostalgia for him than I do for the Elegant Fuckboy. So Daddy Reagan all the way. If I were ever going to get into Ice / on this account, it'll be because I pull him. But I'm being honest with you, this guy's getting 4K saved for him and nothing more, pretty much. If I pull him, that might change. But I'm really just going to do the first 3 steps of his banner to pick up the elemental tickets, to get the fragments and the prisms. But I don't have a huge interest in him beyond that, unfortunately. The person I'm actually going to save for, I think. Now, there's a curveball here. This might not necessarily fully 100% be the case, but Dialdo. And I had said that I wanted to pull him, or I was keeping my eye on him in a previous video, and then when it came to my recent Earth video, I kind of talked down on him, while at the same time mentioning that he was going to be on top tier teams into the future. And I think pretty much from the point of his release running up until now, he's on one of the top teams in the game. Like, he is quite powerful in the way that he fits into the game. He's one of those units that you look at on paper, you can compare him to other units that are like him, and you can say that he's pretty weak, but the units that you're comparing him to don't share an element with King Bradley. Right? I do think that as far as tank DPS, New Age tank DPS combos, that the better is probably going to be Sephiroth and Rafu, but Dialdo and King Bradley is also going to be quite good. another such combo that would also be pretty good is Alphonse and Vega. Although, I think of the three, that's the one that falls the farthest behind the curve. I don't know. It could be really good, though. Don't get me wrong. But a big reason that I decided to actually save for this guy... Well, actually there's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of things that intersect at Dialdo that make me really think that I want to pull on this banner. So the first thing is just Dialdo himself, which I've already explained. Let me look at my runner-ups. So we got Perrine. This is an Earth account. I've been... Basically, my only good water unit is Celeste. I mean, you know, I pick the best, right? I pick the best out of that element. I throw it up front. I let people get really excited to counter it and then beat their ass with Earth. Right? That's been my strategy for a long time with this account. Ever since I pulled Celeste, really. And even before that. Perrine would be a way to beefcake that up a lot. And also, it's a little awkward to have that off unit, good as Celeste is, be one with initial hate, because then... Well, you can bait and switch if you have... So, like, Perrine, Dialdo, King Bradley, right? That would be a really interesting combo because Dialdo's going to bring in the hate. Perrine's going to punch the shit out of people. And even if they have resistance to her, at least she's not the target of their aggression in the way that Celeste is. Celeste is just kind of a scary choice to use as a bait unit. She's worked, she's effective, but she's probably going to get taken out in that first fight because she's really going to draw aggro in a way that Perrine won't. The other thing is, I really like the fact that there's a lot of very synergistic and similar CT up effects with Perrine as Bradley. So Perrine and Bradley on the same team sounds awesome. Finally, I know I talked a little bit of shit about Rogia, but here's the thing. You can adjust his AI. You can fix some of these problems. Rosa isn't unplayable. Rogia is not unplayable. But what I think would be particularly interesting is an all-missile team with Rogia, like I mentioned, or Rogia, like I mentioned, I think in my job-based VC Rainbow video, because he is really one of the only supports that you're going to get for that type of team, but he can also throw in some chaining damage when he gets the opportunity, which is great. He's basically going to be like a limited in supportive capacity version of Velas for sure. Definitely not the healer that Velas is, but also with long-range chaining damage. I think he would be a really interesting unit to put up front on a bait team with Eliza and Elia specifically, because people are going to look at him and be like, oh yeah, I can beat that team. Only an Earth player would pull that unit, and they're not wrong. I am an Earth player, and maybe he's an interesting Earth unit as well, but because he's a support and because of the way I'm going to be using and messing with his AI, he's going to stay back a bit more than the other units. So he's probably going to be the last one that they're going to get to, and if they have to get through my ice units first, that's going to be real bad for them. So this could be interesting, but I don't think that I'm going to 2-for-1 on this banner. I don't think I'm really saving up for it. I think it would be interesting to do it, but Dialdo also has another fun bait partner in a similar way to Rogia, and I would much rather do this than what I just described with Rogia. Pokey Jaden, big spear boy, always overcompensating with the weapon. Like, you've seen this guy's limit break, right? Anyways, Pokey Jaden might very well be worth my viz, and there's enough time since I'm pulling prior to the Rafu banner, same logic as the Rafu banner, but a little bit earlier. I might actually have time, especially if I do well on that banner, to save up to actually pull Pokey Jaden. And if I've got a strong Dialdo and Pokey Jaden, that could be a really interesting bait team. Earth Tank, Tank Buster Jaden, and I don't know, maybe shit, I don't want to use another tank, probably a ranged unit still. So similar to the team I would run with Rogia, but in a different sort of way. I don't think that he's going to be quite as good as people are thinking that he will be, but what I do think is special is being able to pierce magic chain, because that is going to be such a specific, weird setup that it's going to be really hard to defend against. In a similar way to people not really expecting slashing, magical slashing moves. When Elena started to take over our meta, people were just like, how the fuck do I tank this? What do I do? I mean, I guess there's Platinum Helm, but like, the bigger picture, what do I do? Who counters this? What? And even if you think you found out the answer, then she's like 40% mitigations. So she's a little bit of a, especially for a time, tank buster. But those are my thoughts. Those are all of my thoughts on who I will be saving for and pulling by account, what I kind of want to do with them, why I'm excited for them. And I hope you get my logic a bit better now. If you would like to give this channel some needed support, if you think there aren't enough subscribers, you could subscribe yourself. I hear people say that a lot. You could also share this channel with your wotv playing friends. Share it on your Discord. Share it with your buddies. That's a great way to get this channel more subscribers if you think we're a little bit lacking in subscribers, at least. Also, liking this video helps other people see it, so that's great for getting this channel more out there. If you appreciate it. There's also links in the description. I'm trying to build a cool wotv community. It is a little bit of a long-term investment, and the people aren't quite there yet, but we do have some really cool people there who are happy to talk about this game at any time, more or less. And I think that if everybody comes in, introduces themselves, makes a friend, finds out something about another player that gives them something to talk to them about, that we will develop into a close-knit and wonderful gaming community. That's what I hope for, really. And maybe even a community that goes beyond just the act of gaming and just War of the Visions, to something that genuinely feels like friendship. Because, hey man, this world in a lot of ways is getting lonelier all the time. So come spend time with us on Discord and we'll make you feel a little less alone in the world. That's the least I can offer, I think. Links to all that stuff are going to be in the description, as well as links to my other work, such as published novels. And with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. I guess I'll do another one of these in like 3 or 4 months. They tend to be the most popular videos on this channel by far. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.